Shalom, giving all praise to Yahweh Bashem, El Shai Bashem, Rakah Kodash. I'm saying it again, giving all praises to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai Bashem, Rakah Kodash. Kal Halal, La Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai Bashem, Rakah Kodash. What I said in the Hebrew was given all praises. Kal halal, halal meaning praise or praises. Halal yum is praises. Kal is all praises. La to Yahweh, which is the true name of the Most High in Hebrew, which is our language. And Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, which is his beloved Son, and in the name of the Holy Spirit. The Rakah Kodash or the Rakah HaKodash. HaKodash means the holy. Spirit, the holy, or Rakah HaKodash. You can say it that way, or Rakah HaKodash. Holy, the Spirit, or the Holy Spirit. Or you can say Bashem Rakah Kodash, in the name of Holy Spirit. Anyway, I'm going to entitle this video, The Slave Master Gave Us the Name Jesus, so why in the F do you keep calling on him? This is part of the secrets that the Most High gave to the prophets. Anyway, I'm pissed the fuck off, and I already know who put this together. Ethan, or Deacon Ethan. And my question is, why is it such a big deal that you can't call on the name of Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai? You have the men in the IUIC calling on Most High and Christ bless. The name of your organization, the C. The IUIC, the C stands for Christ. Not dealing with no. First of all, Christ is a title. That's not even his name. Anyway, I didn't even get a chance to watch the video. I was just pissed the fuck off watching this old bullshit. And for you clowns out there that say, why don't all you Hebrew Israelites camps get together? My response to you is, why don't you take a long walk off a short pier? Anyway, it says, why are certain Israelites so offended when we show passion to the Lord's true name, meaning Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai? Well, they're offended or against it because I believe that they took a deal. This right here is not. It doesn't sit well with me. He's sitting looking at the camera. Everything is black. He has men around him, and everything's dark. Oh, he's not wearing purple. He's wearing black. He has this symbol which looks like a satanic symbol. Well, actually, this is a talisman. This is a talisman. Let me look up the word talisman. Bear me for a minute. What is a talisman?
Here's a definition of talisman, an object, typically an inscribed ring or stone, that is thought to have magic powers and to bring good luck.
So let me go to images. Talisman, hand sign. Let's see what comes up. Let's see what comes up. Satanic hand signals. Okay, I'm not finding hands to double the signal that Bishop Nate put up, but it must mean something. Try this. Oh yeah, when you guys call on Jesus, that's what you're calling on. The hand symbol, Baphomet. So there's no sign that I've found that that's similar to this one, but it this is definitely a pose. He got his hands this way. Well, oh wait a minute, the top of the hand is a pyramid right there. See the gold medallion in the middle? That represents the eye. So I don't know that these guys. And then recently, he started to use the term Black Hebrew Israelites, which is a government term, negative term, pejorative term for the Israelites. Instead of saying these are the Israelites or these are the Hebrew Israelites, they're the Black Hebrew Israelites. Go back to the Nation of Islam and know why they were called Black Muslims. You have white magic and black magic. Anything black denotes wickedness. So the slave master gave you that word because when you came over here in cargo slave ships, you were damn sure not calling on Jesus. And by the way, why would you call on Jesus when the first boat that came over here was called Jesus? Was it the very first boat? Let me go here. The good ship Jesus. The good ship Jesus, the beginning of the slave trade. I'm not going to call on a Jesus if I came on a boat named Jesus. He sold most of the slaves in what is now known as the Dominican Republic, because a lot of those people down in the DR are Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. he returned home with a profit and ships laden with ivory, hides, and, I'm not going to read the rest, Jesus of Lubeck was a Carrack built in the free city of Lubeck in the early 16th century. That's when they started bringing the slaves over here. It was the early 1500s that they started bringing the Southern Kingdom over here to the Americas. It was a couple of years after Christopher Columbus got over here. Let me do this. What was the ship named Jesus? What was the ship named Jesus in 1555? Jesus of Lubeck was characterized a group of merchants by Queen Elizabeth, the first becoming involved in the Atlantic slave trade and smuggling under John Hawkins. John Hawkins came up with the song "Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me." Here he was, taking Israelites from one side of the world to the other, and he gonna sing a song about how the Lord saved him, and that Lord was Jesus, who organized 4 slave voyages to West America and the West Indies between 1562 and 1568. The first African slaves went to what part of America? And it was before that. You got the 1619. I got to put up something else. It says the first enslaved Americans arrived in Virginia in late August 1619. Landing at Point Comfort, and there was nothing. Now, Point Comfort, if you remember the movie Leaving the World Behind, or whatever the movie was, a controversial movie on Netflix, when they were driving, they passed a sign that said Point Comfort. There was a ship that came in on the beach, and the name of the ship was the White Lion. And we're going to look up the word the White Lion, which is now Fort Monroe in Hampton, Virginia. The Africans were captured from a slave ship bound for Spanish colonies, which is over here in the Americas. Like Central and South America, nothing but Spanish colonies, and brought to Virginia on an English privateer ship, White Lion. Now remember, when we saw the movie, we looked up all these different terms. Point Comfort, the White Lion, the ship, which was a slave ship. I don't have to look for it. It's right there in front of you. And the treasurer in Virginia, the Africans were traded for supplies. Let me see. Black Africans enslaved in the Dominican Republic. Okay,
according to Simple Wikipedia, enslaved Africans that lived in the then Santo Domingo colony tended to come from the Bantu, Congolese, majority-wise especially the Bakongo, Akan, Yoruba, Igbo, Yu, Fon, Mandinga, Wolof Fulanis and others. The Congolese Bakongo tribes has had the most dominant cultural impact in the Dominican today.
Okay, good. So most of these Dominicans are really Judah, Benjamin, Levi. Bantu people are Israelites. Congolese, Israelites. Akan, which is in West Africa. Yoruba, Nas is the Yoruba tribe, Nigerian of the Yoruba tribe. Then you have the Igbo, which is the Hebrew. I can't pronounce this. EU, whatever. Fun. Mandinga. These are Israelites. Wolof, Fulanis, and others. The Congolese Bakongo tribes, which are Israelites, has had the most dominant cultural impact in the Dominican today. I need a year though. Oh, here we go, a year. Like I said, it was a few years after the death of Christopher Columbus. I believe he died in 1505, 1506. So we're talking about 15, 16 years later, they started bringing Judah over here to the Americas. They started with Dominican Republic. So a lot of these Dominicans that don't want to be associated with black people, they're so-called black people. The 1521 Santo Domingo slave revolt. Okay, so if it was revolt, they got over here but long before 1521. The 1521 Santo Domingo slave revolt occurred in the Spanish colony of Santo Domingo on the island of Hispaniola during that year's Christmas. Okay, let me do this. Let me do this now. This is why we don't call, this is why when we teach people, we tell people his name is not Jesus, his name is Yahweh Shai. Oh, but it's so hard to pronounce. His father's name is Yahweh, and that's one of the first steps. Number one, knowing you're Israelite. Number two, knowing certain basic scriptures that point to only Israelites being the true people of the Most High. And then the name is in there. So we're going to look this up. Slave rebellion of December 25th. Oh, that's when they revolted. That's when Esau's got the family. They eating, you know. They got liquor in them. They're relaxed. So they made a plan that we're going to get these people on Christmas Day. They don't talk. I didn't even know this. I didn't know about the slave rebellion of December 25th, 1522. It says the 1521 Santiago slave rebellion. It just took me back to where I don't want to be. Okay, who was involved in the Santo Domingo slave revolt? They ain't giving you a lot of resulted in, and it says suppression of revolt, parties or parties involved, enslaved Africans, slave owners, Spanish colonial governor led figures. The revolt of Santo Domingo, now known as was it Haitians? 1804 was a rebellion. So they don't tell you about this rebellion. So they succeeded in 1804. And those were Levites. The result in Santo Domingo, now known as Haiti, during the Haitian Revolution, had several effects on the United States. One significant impact was the fear it raised among American slave holders. They were in fear because Jake was chopping them up. Micah 5 and 7. That the success of the Haitian slave uprising could inspire similar rebellions in the United States, because it was Levi that wanted to come up to the United States and free this Jake up here. Why was the Santo Domingo Slavers Rebellion so important? Revolt. This was the earliest recorded slave uprising in America. In the Americas, the revolt was violently put down by Spanish colonizers, and 11 days later, the governor issued a new set of repressive laws regulating blacks and slaves, designed to prevent further rebellion. So they put more hell on them. And I'm pretty sure if you go to YouTube, you put in 1521, 1522, Santo Domingo Slave Rebellion. Okay, it was 1802 in the Haitian Revolution by Auguste Refet. This is why it's important to tell the people. When you tell them that they're Israelites, you tell them the name of the Most High is Yahweh and the Son's name is Yahawashi. Because the first time you were given the name Jesus was by the slave master over here in America. And you were taught that Jesus looked like a white man. The slave master didn't allow you to call on the name Yahawashi. Matter of fact, when they captured you, you were speaking Hebrew. You know what I'm going to do? Let me have a little fun with this. They never spoke about this. Oh, yeah, they were going at it. They got the Edomite down there ready to chop his head off. Micah 5 and 7 all over again. So I'm gonna have to watch this. These we fought back series. We fought back series episode Santo Domingo Slave Revolt 1521, Slave Rebellion and Uprising. The Santo Domingo Slave Revolt of 1521. Oh, wait a minute. Did he make this statement? Joe Biden, if Haiti sunk into Caribbean, it wouldn't matter. I got to find out what that's all about. History of Haiti, the victory of the Haitians against Napoleon and the Louisiana Purchase. Tracing the African roots of Dominicans. So when you spoke to a Dominican, they say, me no black. I said, your foreparents came from West Africa. The hell you talking about? You guys are Africans. The Haitian Revolution. And Tariq Nasheed did a video. You probably can find on YouTube if you try. 1804. And I saw it. Very, very good. Video, movie. There's a fake. Look, they had these guys hung them. I am high. An African kingdom in Brazil, which they were not Africans, they were Israelites. So there you go. And see, Esau is scared because a lot of Jakes are waking up to the fact that they're Israel. So if they're waking up to the fact that they're Israel, then you got to tell them what's the name of their God. Their God is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahweh Shai. So now let me come back over here. This is like a talisman, but like I said at the top, you got the diamond. If you had a camera looking down, or like on top of his head, you can see that that's a pyramid symbol right there. Anyway, so this is a comment, and like I said, I believe if I didn't say it, I'll say it now. I believe this was Deacon Athan that said it. It says, Yahweh Shai, we all know this. No, we as Israelites don't know it. That's why we got to push that name out. Push that vibration out. His name is not Jesus. His name is Yahweh Shai. There was no J. There's no J in the Hebrew. The letter J came about 1524 by a man by the name of Trissino. And you had Renaissance art, and that was a Renaissance alphabet or Renaissance language. I believe they added 4 more letters to the Hebrew Greek alphabet, and the Roman, the Latin. He added extra, because there's no J in Latin either, no J in Greek. But so-called black people, after 400 years of slavery and torture, know him by the name of Jesus. Well, that's the problem. That's the problem. After 400 years, shouldn't they know the real name? Well, they've been taught that. Who taught them that Jesus was his name? The slave master. Now, this is the same Yahweh Shai that is merciful and died for Israel. So do you think he will condemn the 12 tribes? He's going to condemn 2/3 of them, the ones that can't get it. So now let me do this. I didn't really have anything set, but I saw the first minute and I got pissed off. So I fired up the mic. The first precept, because if you put in the word name in the blue letter, it'll come up, I think it's a couple thousand times. So what I did was I said the first precept that came to my head was how many times, let me get it. Wait a minute, I thought, oh, I'm sorry. It was in the Apocrypha. Anyway, I put in 1 Kings 8, and then I typed in the word find. I put in name, and it came up 14 times. So we're going to read some of these verses here. It says, since the day that I brought forth my people Israel out of Egypt, I chose no city out of all the tribes of Israel to build an house, that my name, which is Yahweh's name. Now we know his son, so when we say Yahweh's name, we say it in the name, Yahweh's name, and the name Yahushai. He's the mediator. Might be therein. Aren't we the house being built up? So his name's got to be in his house. You got these small hats talking about building the third temple. They don't realize that we represent a brick of the new temple. The new temple are the children of Israel. Behold, I saw Jerusalem come down from heaven. Jerusalem is the city. Coming down from heaven is us coming down in the chariot to take the world over. Saints of the Most High shall take the world. But I chose David to be over my people Israel. 17 verse. And it was in the heart of David, my father, to build an house for the name of the Lord power of Israel, or Yasha'Allah, and therefore you add in the name Yahushai. They didn't know the name Yahushai. We know the name Yahushai. 18 verse. This is why we don't say, oh, well, his name is Jesus, because we know you guys got a hard time in saying Yahweh and Yahushai. It's a tongue twister. Look, the very first time I heard the word Yahweh, I said Yahweh. Very first time I heard the name Yahushai, I didn't stutter when I said Yahushai. So that's some fucking bullshit. There's something going on behind the scenes why you don't want to push out the vibration. And let's go back to Tazadakia, the so-called God-sent comforter. One of the first things they did was, oh, we don't know the name of Jesus. He's Bun Yahweh. Then they didn't know the name of Yahweh. It says, and Yahweh said unto David, my father, this is King Solomon, which is Yahushai, whereas it was in thine heart to build an house unto my name. That's why you think the Most High in Amos 9 and 12, it speaks about the tabernacle of David. Another word for tabernacle is a house. That thou may put his name in that tabernacle. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Thou didst well that it was in thine heart or in thy mind. Nevertheless, thou shalt not build the house, but thy son, which is Solomon, which is Yahushai, that which is over King David. David called him his Lord. He called his son his Lord. That shall come forth out of thine loins, which is Solomon, which came back as the Messiah, which is the Savior of us all, including King David. So David's son Solomon was his Lord, was his superior. He shall build a house unto my name. Now, why was he set up to build a house unto the Most High's name? Because he's the Messiah. He's building a house now. We're disciples under him. 20th verse. And Yahweh hath performed his word that he spoke. And I am risen up in the room of David my father, and sit on the throne of Yeshua, as Yahweh promised, and have built an house for the name of Yahweh, the Most High of Israel. So now we say Yahweh in the name of Yahushai. So if I deal with any Israelite, we're on the street or whatever, they ask a question, the name is going to come up, and we're going to say, first of all, Jesus is not his name. Yahushai is his name. Then we'll break it down. It says that thine eyes may be open toward the house night and day, even toward the place of which thou hast said, my name shall be there, that thou mayest hearken unto the prayer which thy servant shall make toward this place. "33rd verse. When thy people Israel be smitten down before the enemy, because they have sinned against thee, and shall turn again to thee, and confess thy name." But brother, see, they're used to calling on Jesus. See, they've been calling on Jesus for 400 years. So why are we going to boggle their mind and confuse them by saying that the name is Yahweh Shai? There's something going on behind the scenes. It says, and confess thy name, and pray and make supplication unto thee in this house. So you got to confess his name. Let me look up the word confess. Confess just means confess is, you should know the meaning of the word. I'm not going to go all into it because I'm not in the blue letter. 35th verse. So if the name is not important, why would the name pop up in this one chapter 14 times? When heaven is shut up and there is no rain because they have sinned against thee, if they pray toward this place and confess thy name and turn from their sin, when thou afflictest them. So if there's no rain and you call on Jesus, ain't nobody coming to help you, because that's not his name. For the first verse, moreover, concerning a stranger, which is an Israelite, that is not of thy people, Israel, but cometh out of a far country for thy name's sake. For they shall hear of thy great name, Remember, when we left out of Egypt, Yahweh's name was magnified. For they shall hear of thy great name, and of thy strong hand, and of thy stretched out arm, when he shall come and pray toward this house. 43rd verse. Hear thou in heaven thy dwelling place, and do according to all that the stranger calleth thee for, that all people of the earth may know thy name. It's talking about the Israelites first, and then the rest of the world is going to know the name, because they're going to learn the laws. To fear thee as do thy people Israel, and that they may know that this house which I have built is called by thy name. This is why you guys at the IUIC, this is why you're teaching that there's an actual hell. Roman Catholic doctrine. The MOTB is sin in all of its forms. So, and it's good that you're not calling on the name, and continue to not call on the name, because you're not doing the will of the Most High anyway. You're not teaching the scriptures the right way. And it's going to be embarrassing when they actually make this, the MOTB, the micro C hit, when they make it mandatory throughout the whole planet Earth. That's when you're going to have to explain away that bullshit that you was teaching. If thy people go out to battle against their enemy, whithersoever thou shalt send them, and shall pray unto Yahweh toward the city which thou hast chosen, and toward the house that I have built for thy name. and his name ain't God, and his name ain't damn sure ain't no motherfucking Jesus. Remember, we were brought over. The first ship that set sail from West Africa to the Americas was a ship named the good ship Jesus, or Jesus of whatever the name is, Lubrick or whatever. And at one time it was owned by the Queen of England. So they got to pay for it. They got to pay for what they did. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. I believe this is the last time the name come up, which is in the 48th verse. And so return unto thee with all thine heart and with all thy soul in the land of their enemies. That's this land right here. This is the last enemy which led them away captive, and pray unto thee toward their land, which is Israel in the east. That's in Baruch. Right in west, going back to the east, was thou gavest unto their fathers, which is the land of Palestine, Israel. The city Jerusalem, which thou hast chosen, and the house which I have built for thy name. So this is why we call on the name of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Let's read this again. Yahweh Shai, we all know this. If you all know it, then call on the name. Explain to the people that this is the name Yahweh Shai. The Heavenly Father is Yahweh. But so-called black people, after 400 years of slavery and torture, know him by the name Jesus. Well, guess what? That's the false name. If you're going to call on Jesus, you might as well put white images up of Caesar Borgia and say, well, that's Jesus. Now, this is the same Yahweh Shai that is merciful and died for Israel. So do you think he will condemn the 12? Yes, he's going to condemn the 1/3 of all the 12 tribes. He's going to condemn 1/3 of Judah, 1/3 of Benjamin, 1/3 of Issachar, and down the line. He's going to condemn 1/3, and he's going to save 1/3, or 2/3. 2/3 he's going to condemn, and 1/3 he's going to, deliver. Starting with the 144,000. Anyway, that's it. Moving on to the next. And see this right here. He with a black background. He's staring into the camera. He's wearing a black. Normally they wear purple. Why is he wearing black? We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but we will know. And Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is going to do some house cleaning. He's going to start with the house of Israel. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom.